Today, we're looking at a company attempting a pretty daring high-wire act. That company is Osel Devices, and they're making a huge bet that could lead to some massive rewards or, well, a spectacular fall. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the company, let's talk about the prize. The whole goal here is something called a multi-bagger investment. You've probably heard that term thrown around, but what does it actually mean? In simple terms, it's an investment that multiplies your money. A 2-bagger, that doubles it. A 3-bagger triples it. And then there's the legendary 10-bagger. That's when you get 10 times what you put in. That's the dream, right? And it's the potential destination at the end of Osel's tightrope walk.
So let's meet our performer on the wire, Osel Devices. Now, on the surface, it's a company with a solid, if maybe not super exciting, business. As it stands, in fiscal year 2025, their business is pretty straightforward. The money comes from two main places: hearing aids, making up 55%, and LED displays, making up the other 45%. It's stable, it's established, but this is just the starting point for a massive, massive change. Just look at this projection for only 1 year later. The entire company gets flipped on its head. Those core businesses, hearing aids and LED displays, they shrink way down. And in their place, two huge new ventures pop up. A 30% chunk from Philips Mobiles and another 20% from making LEDs for other brands. This isn't just a small adjustment, it's a complete reinvention.
And this pivot, this is what the multi-bagger growth story is all about. This is the whole reason they're taking this risk. Because the potential rewards, they are seriously dazzling. So where does all this confidence come from? Well, first, just look at the track record. The company's revenue has more than tripled in 5 years, growing from 57 crore rupees to 186 crore. And just so we're on the same page, a crore is 10 million, so that's some serious growth. It's a strong foundation. But honestly, that's not even the most eye-popping number.
82%. Just let that sink in. That is the average growth rate of their net profit every single year for the last 5 years. That number is just staggering, and it tells you something really important about how this business works.
What this points to is something called strong operating leverage. In plain English, it just means that as their sales go up, their profits are going up way, way faster. For every new dollar of revenue they bring in, a bigger and bigger chunk of it drops straight to the bottom line as pure profit. That's a powerful engine for growth.
So how are they going to keep this momentum going? Well, this isn't just wishful thinking. They've got some very specific triggers lined up. The big one everyone's talking about is the exclusive license for Philips Mobiles, but they also have a new retail push for their hearing aids, a solid order book that gives them some predictability. They're expanding into Africa and the Middle East, and they're even getting a boost from government support.
And that Philips deal is absolutely key. Partnering with a massive global brand like that gives Osel instant credibility. It's a shortcut into the enormous Indian mobile market. For a company this size, it's a potential game changer.
And it's not just an external story. The folks inside the company, the promoters, have some serious skin in the game. They hold over 71% of the company. And they aren't the only ones who are confident. Some well-known, high-net-worth investors have also put their money in, which is usually a sign that smart money sees something special here.
But we have to remember, this is a high-wire act. And on any high wire, the winds can pick up without warning. We've seen the incredible potential, but now we have to look at the dangers.
So you gotta be asking yourself, with growth this good, what's the catch? All this amazing potential, it has to come with some very real risks, right? Okay, red flag number 1, debt. Just look at this jump. It went from 9 crore rupees to 44 crore in just about 2.5 years. That's almost a 5-fold increase. Sure, growth costs money, but borrowing this fast, this much, it definitely raises the stakes.
And that debt isn't the only thing to worry about. Take a look at this chart. It shows something called trade receivables. And that spike is, well, it's alarming. A jump from 13 crore to 78 crore in just a year and a half. So what does that actually mean for the business? Let's break it down. Trade receivables are basically a stack of IOUs from your customers. It's all the money that Osel is waiting to collect for products it has already shipped out. When this number gets this big, this fast, it can be a warning sign that the company is having trouble getting paid on time, and that can really squeeze its cash.
And on top of those financial issues, there are risks out in the market too. The mobile phone business is brutally competitive and takes a ton of marketing money to even make a dent. Plus, Osel is a smaller company on a smaller exchange, which means its stock can swing wildly and can be harder to buy or sell.
So we've got the dazzling potential on one side and some pretty dangerous risks on the other. How do we weigh all this? Well, let's turn to the final analysis and see how it scores out.
This scorecard really pulls it all together. And look at the scores. Growth visibility gets a perfect 5 out of 5. The potential is undeniable. We've seen that. Business model and management are strong too at 4 out of 5. But then you get to financial health, and it's sitting at just 3 out of 5. That's where those big red flags around debt and uncollected payments really show up.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? This really, truly is a high-wire act, balancing this incredible opportunity against some very significant risks. So what's the final call? According to the analysis, for this company to pull it off and deliver that multi-bagger return, there are 3 critical things that have to go right. First, they've got to get their finances under control, manage the debt, and collect that money they're owed. Second, those big bets on Philips mobiles and hearing aids, they have to work. And third, they have to protect their profit margins through all this change. It all boils down to this. This is a classic high-risk, high-reward situation. This is not a safe, sleepy investment. The analysis concludes that this is really a stock for aggressive investors, the kind of people who have the stomach for the risk and the patience to wait and see if the performer makes it across the wire. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Is Osel's massive bet a stroke of genius that's about to create a huge success story? Or is it simply a risk too far, stretching the company way beyond its limits? Only time is going to tell.